Hello EFD squad and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Pato is in Sri Lanka, Joe is in Dubai. Let's hope he never returns. So, stepping up is Doug and Zach, ill prepared but up for it.
Very enthused.
So,
yes,
that's all that counts. First question comes from Wiz Iga 93. And he said, please talk about Zlatan Ibrahimovic moving to LA Galaxy. Quite generic, but topical, isn't it, lads? Because Manchester United have agreed to terminate his contract early. It was due to expire in the summer, and he is set to join LA Galaxy. Not been confirmed yet, but definitely reported by numerous credible media outlets. And he's set to earn 1.3 million per year in the US of A, apparently. Now, this was in the offing, wasn't it? He's only played 7 times since damaging his cruciate ligament in April, recovered miraculously for a man of his age, but didn't lead to games in the first team, didn't it? And he's not featured since Boxing Day in a draw with Burnley when he came on and tried that scissor kick, which was pretty impressive, considering, you know, he was out with a knee injury.
He's got one leg.
Doug, give us a bit of context, a bit of a brief history of his time at Manchester United, because it was, by all accounts, pretty darn successful.
Yeah, definitely. Particularly that first year. He came in, hit the ground running. He got 29 goals in 53 games for United. And he now says it's time to move on after 2 fantastic seasons there. Arguably, the second season hasn't been such a success, but he did come back from that horror injury. But his first season, he scored 28 goals in 41 games, including 17 in the league and 5 assists. And the next best scorer for United in the league was Rooney and Mata with 6. So his goals were a crucial part of them finishing 6th. I know it was only 6th, but he was the only supplier of goals in that team. And the next best scorer overall was Rashford and Mkhitaryan with 11 goals, so way behind his 28. As I mentioned just briefly there, it wasn't a fantastic season for United in the league. They finished 6th, 24 points behind Chelsea, but he played a massive part in their League Cup win. That 2 goals in the final, I think one of the 87th minute winner, 4 goals in 4 appearances in that competition, and in the Europa League as well. He got 5 goals in 9 appearances. And that was the key to United getting back in the Champions League, which they've now butchered. So he was a crucial part of last season, but obviously that injury in April completely scuppered his chances. And at 36, he's done a great service.
Yeah, it's safe to say he was a success in England and a success in Europe, having left age 36 and having won 35 trophies, including 10 league titles and the Europa League. Unfortunately, he never got his hands on the big one. He never got the Champions League
trophy.
But he did finish as the league's top goal scorer on 5 separate occasions, probably most of them in League 1, because he was unbelievable there. But considering the leagues he played in, the Serie A, La
I think a couple of
Liga,
times in Serie A as
which
well.
is very impressive indeed. But he has played for 8 different clubs. He was a bit of a journeyman. He made only 90 appearances or more for one club, which was PSG, which does show how much he did enjoy his time over in League 1. And he finishes his career in Europe with 319 goals in 488 appearances, which isn't too bad at all. That's a goal every 0.7 games, which is unbelievable, especially considering he made his debut at 18 and has now left age 36.
Especially when he wasn't that prolific until his late 20s. I know he won the Capo Cannoniere, which is the award for top goal scorer in Serie A at Inter Milan. But I remember a few seasons in Italy with Juventus where he either wasn't a first choice, he was playing second fiddle to someone like Trezeguet, he was getting 12 goals here, 8, 14. Had a bit of a Rooney-esque record in that regard. It's almost like their careers sort of reverse.
I think in the British media, he never really got the credit until he scored those 4 goals against England in 2012 with that amazing bicycle kick. And then the English press, because he had this awful record against English teams, I seem to remember. Yeah. And then he proved that he could do it against the England national team, and then really sort of stepped up, and everyone sort of appreciated him for what he was.
Yeah, and I suppose on that subject, maybe an interesting way to end this would be, has his season or his time with Manchester United, particularly that first season, has that been the best golden oldie season in the modern Premier League era? Because those numbers you read off before were pretty impressive, weren't they? The only other examples, to not catch you guys cold, I can think of is maybe Laurent Blanc, came to the Premier League at 37. A lot of people thought that was an extremely strange move. Ended up winning the title, playing a crucial role in that. Teddy Sheringham, I think, won the PFA Player of the Year at 35 or something. Scored a lot of goals after 30, didn't he?
Yeah.
When he went to Manchester United from Tottenham. Can you think of any more?
Yeah, Gianfranco Zola came to the Premier League with Chelsea when he was 30.
Really?
And he never won the Premier League title, but he was involved in a lot of top 4 finishes, part of this sort of European influx into the Chelsea team at that time. Won a couple of FA Cups, I believe, and brought. He was just a superb player. They still eulogise him about him at Stamford Bridge to this day, with his diminutive, skillful play. Not a massive goal scorer, but very useful around the park.
I know his numbers aren't the same. However, I'm thinking Samuel Eto'o. He scored 9 in 21, but he became a bit like a legend at Chelsea. He wasn't there for long, and he did move on to Everton. But he became a bit of like a cult figure. I was also thinking Van der Sar at United, and Lehmann at Arsenal.
Van der Sar at United, obviously, I didn't think of that because he arrived from Fulham, but in terms of making an impact in your 30s, he really plugged that gap, that gaping void between Schmeichel and someone like De Gea, didn't he? Because, my God, did United have some dross in goal in the interim. But
some shockers.
I think there's some fairly decent suggestions in there. Who do you think had the best golden oldie season in the Premier League era? Vote in the poll above. Was it, who did I say?
Who did you say? Blanc.
Was it Laurent Blanc? No.
Zola
or Samuel Eto'o?
Or Ibrahimovic.
I mean, you've won that. That's going to be a landslide. Put Ibra in there, because blatantly him. Next question then, lads, and with the World Cup less than 90 days on the horizon, absolutely buzzing. We've had an influx of questions about England. Not sure why. One of the most boring teams at the World Cup. Anyway, Ali Abdu and Priyesh Patel have both inquired about Gareth Southgate's starting 11. Verbatim down here, we have, can you name the potential starting XI for England at the World Cup? So, I thought I'd ask you boys, first of all, what system you'd go with, as that's been much debated in the friendlies that we've had recently, and how your starting XI looks, and then we can decide, or the fine people at home can decide, which team they'll go with. All right, starting with Z-Money.
Well, I've gone for a 3-4-3. In goal, Nick Pope, because he's been unbelievable this season, and there's a stat which is he should have conceded something about 30-something goals, but because of how good he's been, he's only conceded like 20-something.
Okay.
He's been very good this season, obviously. My defence.
What a rogue start.
Maguire, Jones, and I think it's got to be Stones, obviously.
Rhymes, so must be correct.
Possibly Gary Cahill if need be, just not Chris Smalling.
He's not in the squad for these friendlies.
Which is worrying. Anyway, left wing back is Danny Rose, right wing back Carl Walker, centre mids Jack Wilshere, but you tell him to play a bit more deep, a bit more defensively, and Dele Alli, because there's no other way to get Dele Alli in the squad, and tell him to do more of an attacking duty.
Okay.
However, you
so
can...
like a 3-4-3 with a bit of a diamond.
Yeah, but you can swap Ali with Lallana if need be. Right wing, Sterling. Up front, Harry Kane. Left wing, Rashford, yeah.
I think that front three picks itself. Do you go with that front three, Doug?
I'm actually changing formation slightly.
Okay.
I'm going 3-4-1-2. And because I actually disagree quite a lot with Zach.
All right.
I'm going Butland in goal, just because I don't think Pickford's got enough international experience. Butland was captain of England under 21s for years. He's been to a lot of tournaments with them. Then my three at the back is Eric Dyer on the right, Stones in the middle, Jones on the left. And then the four in midfield, I'm actually going for Ashley Young as my left wing back. I don't think Rose has played enough. Then in midfield, I'm going Wilshere and, I'm sorry to say it, Jordan Henderson. And then right wing back, Kyle Walker, CAM, Dele Alli, and then up front, doing some sort of fluid movements and going for Kane and Sterling. Rashford coming off the bench for the last 20 minutes. Big impact.
I disagree with you both on a couple of players there. Who'd have thought it? A game of opinions. I can't believe you both started Jones and you put Eric Dyer. in the
He's gotta
defence.
Who's replacing
And
Jones?
you've put Nick Pope in goal.
Oh,
Yeah, that
100%.
was
He's
deluded.
been great.
Where do you play Eric Dyer? He's not good enough in central midfield. He plays at the back. We don't have enough central defenders.
I think for me, he's a CDM or nada.
Same.
Like or he just doesn't get anything right. I'm going to go with a 3-4-3 as well because I think we lack so much creativity in the middle. Although Lallana's not a bad option, I agree. Or he has been playing in a 4-3-3. For Jurgen Klopp, hasn't he? As he's sort of been eased back into that side. Okay, I'm going to go with, I agree, Jack Butland in goal, the best of a bad bunch at current. Although he's let in 50 plus goals, Stoke have the most porous defence in Europe, top 5.
Precisely.
Yeah, I don't think the blame actually can be squared at him, although he's only making about 1.52 saves per goal. If Fraser Forster hadn't fallen off a cliff, I would have put him in goal. Not literally, I mean his form.
Fraser.
That's not me announcing that Forster's dead. And then with, my 3 at the back, I think would be Maguire, Stones and Cahill. Because Cahill has
He's not played enough this season.
He hasn't. And Gareth Southgate has generally picked on form as well, but if we're going to go with tournament pedigree and experience, then Cahill does have that. He's one of the most experienced figureheads in that team.
Last World Cup,
yeah, I think I'd be worried about pace in that back line, admittedly. Maguire, I think, very composed on the ball, has a very decent array of passing, actually not a bad dribbler for someone who looks like the fucking abominable snowman, but is slow, like cart horse slow. I've seen milk turn quicker. John Stones actually got a little bit of gas, reasonable
he's
at that front, so he might have to play more of a sweeper role. And Gary Cahill, he played exceptionally well in a 3 for Chelsea.
Yeah, he knows the formation.
In Conte's first system, so knows the formation. And then I think we have to play the fullbacks. Kyle Walker has been exceptional, and that's where that pace comes back from Manchester City. When he slots into the centre of defence, he snuffs out a lot of counter-attacks. So I'm hoping he does that and he provides whip going forward. Danny Rose needs to get back to form. He needs a run of games in that Tottenham side.
I'd definitely play him if he was playing more.
Yeah,
I mean, he just hasn't played enough.
You've got Ryan Bertrand, who's kind of Mr. Reliable, but Southampton having a terrible season. But I don't think Southampton have actually conceded that many goals. I could be.
He's not creating.
I could be wrong. I just feel like they haven't, which is not the best premise to go on. But yeah, so Rose, Walker, and then in midfield, I think mine resembles somewhat yours in this instance. Oh God, this is bleak, isn't it? So I'd go with Eric Dyer, is going to provide a bit of solidity, and Jack Wilshere, who will hopefully drive the team forwards. When I've watched him play for Arsenal, he has tried to provide that impetus. And I think, if he gets a good run of games in, I'd maybe go with him, and then Rashford, Kane, and your boy Raheem Sterling providing that sort of pace, and hopefully interchanging, dropping into midfield a little bit to receive the ball and making up for that lack of Ali and CAM.
I'd say there's just one problem with England, and that's just, except for Kane, we have no spine. There's no goalkeeper in the moment. Our central defence is pretty shambolic. Our central midfield is even worse. On the wings, we look pretty useful. We've got great wing backs. We've got great forward options like Rashford, Sterling, Kane. We look pretty good in certain areas, but just that lack of spine. I think we are quarterfinals at most.
Then you've got good options to come on from the bench. Like, I think we're overly pessimistic. Like, we do have a good squad. We are lacking an outstanding central midfielder at the moment. But Jamie Vardy's come off the bench.
But from the bench as well,
V9.
Do you think you should bring a couple of youngsters? I think Loftus-Cheek. I think taking Loftus-Cheek to the World Cup would be a great idea. He performed so well against Germany, and a Germany which was actually their B team, but a very good B team.
I think he deserves more of a place than Jake Livermore. I don't.
100%.
Someone like that. I know he's kind of become like the whipping boy, and we've mentioned him a few times in the show. Have you got any outside shouts for inclusions?
Yeah, I think Harry Winks, if he played more, I think he started the season really well. Played a few great Champions League matches, but then is he injured? I'm not sure. Where is Winks?
Hashtag where is Winks?
Where is Winks? And then Joe Gomez, I'd like to see him on the bench. I think he's been useful for Liverpool in patches.
Yeah.
And then Trent Alexander-Arnold had a good couple of months as well, but I don't think he'll be. He's obviously not going to start ahead of Walker. But I think he'd be a useful outside bet for the plane.
Glenn Murray. seriously though, like, to his credit, if it comes down to it in the 70th minute, we're 0-0, and we need a man to just be up front, to be
So we
there.
can pump balls up to
Literally, Glenn Murray, he's been so good this season. All jokes aside,
Oh, how depressing.
take him, get him on the plane. Southgate, do it.
Right, whose team would you go for on that bombshell? Vote in the poll just above. Is it my head?
His head. Either head.
Zach's head. Thames is telling me Zach's head.
Zach's head.
That one.
Big head. Last but not least, it's time for the match preview. And the game I've picked, lads, is tonight. Oh, twist. 7:45 between two powerhouses of world football. It's Germany versus Spain. Two former winners. Hey, Doug.
The champions.
So, trivia. Good. What I want to ask you boys is, out of the squads, because you have them in front of you,
We do.
who are your ones to watch? Now, this might be a hot prospect. It might be someone that is uncapped. Let's talk about the more interesting facets of this fixture rather than just the result. Although we're going to guess them, we're going to guess that, then you're going to guess it. And if you get it right, shout out on Monday's show.
Oh.
But Dougie, you're going for Germany, aren't you? Who do you have your beaded eyes on?
Yeah, well, everyone knows about Ter Stegen's form this year. He's been absolutely irrepressible. I'm not going to talk about him, though, because we've heard all about Ter Stegen all year long. I'm going to talk about Timo Werner for Leipzig. I was having a little look at him yesterday. He's having another superb season. He has 7 goals in 10 caps for Germany. I know they had an easy qualifying group. They won 10 out of 10 and conceded something like 5 goals.
I think he scored something like 50 as well.
Exactly. So it wasn't exactly difficult, but for the striker of Germany, you know, it's not the hardest position to play. But he is pacey. He's got great finishing ability. He can hold the ball up quite well for someone who's actually not that tall. And this is a Germany squad that is brimming with talent. We're talking Jerome Boateng, Hummels at the back, with Jonas Hector on the left back, and then probably Kimmich on the right. Rudiger probably doesn't get into that team, I don't think. And then Kroos, Khedira, Chan, Gundogan, Müller, Sane. It's just Draxler. It's just an absolute
God.
Ozil, I haven't even mentioned. It's a feast of
I'd
talent.
pick
Oh
Timo
my.
Werner at that squad as well in terms of who could develop the most over this World Cup, who could really have a breakout World Cup campaign, because Germany have actually struggled of late for a out-and-out number 9.
Definitely.
Like Miroslav Klose held that post for a number of years very, very admirably. But look at the other
About
options
half
they've
a
got.
leg,
I think Mario Gomez,
Is he
who's...
still kicking around? Wow.
Is he a
Thomas
top,
Müller can
is
play
he a
there
top
as
class player at this point? Thomas Müller is not a number 9, bro.
No, up front.
Yeah, he can, but
Yeah.
he swings between top goal scorer and 0 goals at major tournaments as well, doesn't he? But they've got Wagner as well in that team, who's probably a good option to come on from the bench. But I think Timo Werner could be vital for them.
Their main man. Zach, what have you seen from Spain?
Oh, well, they've actually missing a lot of players. Apparently Morata's not there, Sergio Roberto's not there, Pedro's not there, Mata's not there, Fabregas is not there, and Javi Martinez are all not there. However, one man who is there for the first time, Mr. Marcos Alonso of Chelsea fame. He's got his first Spanish cap. Oh, he's so good. And he's actually now the 3rd generation of his family to play for the Spanish national team. So a very talented
Heritage.
family. My question, though, is they're going to have to play 3 at the back. Because there's no way...
You've gone 3 at the back mad today.
But there's no... but yeah, I have. But there's
Lives
no
for it.
way Marcos Alonso can play left back. He's not a great... Like, defensively, he's not
Like
the
Jordi
best.
Alba.
Yeah, but Marcos Alonso, if you're going to play him, he needs to
Do
play
you think
on the
Spain
left
will
wing
set
back.
their formation around Marcos Alonso? I don't think he's
Actually,
like...
probably not.
I think
But he might...
they'll surely play Alba. I mean, Marcos Alonso will go to the World Cup, but I don't think he'll necessarily start.
Well, I suppose if he's set to make his first cap, then you're thinking, where will he appear?
Yeah,
in
essentially.
in said team. But yeah, I think Spain can play pretty much any formation. Didn't they win the Euros or the World Cup with like a 4-6-0?
Yeah,
no
Fabregas
striker.
starting up front. I think it was the Euros, yeah. Yeah, it's a team brimming with talent, isn't it? It's just absolutely ridiculous. I think, again, their forwards, except for Diego Costa, they've got Iago Aspas, Rodrigo, they've had 2 quietly good seasons, and then Lucas Vazquez is their 4th forward. Without Pedro in there, without Fabregas as a forward option, without Morata, they do look a little thin on the ground up front, but this is only a friendly, so I'm sure their big guns will be back for the World Cup.
But I think they're in a similar predicament to Germany. Like Torres is gone, David Villa's gone. I think Fernando Hierro is actually Spain's 3rd highest goal scorer, which
Really?
intimates 2 things: that he had a phenomenal knack of scoring goals,
That's mental.
stepping out from centre back. I think he took penalties as well, and that it's not. Spain haven't produced an awful lot of natural number 9s that have sort of prospered on the international stage. So
Costa's
I mean,
also
they've had
not been great.
Llorente, haven't they, of years gone by? Yeah, Diego Costa, obviously Brazilian, but has a Spanish passport. So I think a lot kind of rests on Morata's shoulders as well. Had a decent qualifying campaign, but I think their top goal scorer was Isco, or maybe someone of that ilk. From midfield with around 5 goals during qualification.
Really?
They really spread them over the entirety of the team. So
I read yesterday, sorry to interject, that
No,
only
go
2
for it.
teams conceded less than Germany in the qualifiers. That was England and Spain. England
Gonna
obviously
win the World
playing against
Cup.
the likes of Moldova and Slovakia, so it doesn't really count. But Spanish underrated without the ball as well. And then their midfield talent is ridiculous. Isco, Thiago, Asensio, Sal Niguez,
David Silva.
Koke, Iniesta. I mean, take your pick. It's a
There's
plethora
so much.
of top talent.
There's so much experience there as well. PK, Ramos, David De Gea.
yeah, which is going to count for a lot of major tournaments. So it will be interesting to see how serious they are about sort of trying to work out their formation in this tie. But what will the score be, guys? Let us know in the comments below on Twitter, maybe Instagram. So there we have it, Continental Club for another week. Thank you for getting your questions in, guys. As always, if you want to get involved next week, stick a topic in the comments below and we'll endeavour to answer as many as possible. Only 2 today. 'Cause
Limited.
We yapped for a fair man, didn't we? Lads, what is going on elsewhere? FD, Doug.
FD today, VFN. Also, make sure you go check out, there's been quite a few top 10s on EFD this week.
Yes.
10 times football restored your faith in humanity. That's a feel-good one. So yeah, check that out. Also come back for loads of this weekend's content. There's Sunday Vibes, there's Stat Wars. There's a whole lot of good stuff coming at you.
Not just any Stat Wars though, is it? Stat Wars The Champion, Season
There we
2.
go.
First episode, Joe versus Don Strapsy. Make sure you check it out tomorrow live at 10 a.m. And also today on 90+1. A new show. They've already put out the comment show. There's a new one, a bit like Mastermind, featuring your very own Zach Jalab. If you want to know more about me, go over there.
God, who does?
Have a good day. Bye.